What a way to kickstart 2024. We at Kari Motor Speedway to finally get our hands on the much talked about, the much anticipated Aprilia Rs 457 motorcycle made in India for the world. It has been the talk of town for good reason, not only for how absolutely beautiful it looks like a pakka Aprilia. You have the same signature Aprilia styling as you see on its bigger super bikes. And the fact that has been launched by Aprilia at a bombshell of a price tag which is 4.1 lakh rupees, which is insane looking at the performance and the equipment that this one packs. So let's first start with the heart of the matter, which is the engine, which is a 457cc paddle twin liquid cooled DOHC setup. But what distinguishes it is its 270-degree firing order, which will not only make it sound exciting and different in terms of the exhaust note, but also should give it a whole lot of character. And it's strong enough to pump out a very impressive 47.6 horsepower and 43.5 Newton meters of torque while weighing in at only 175 kgs wet. And of course, as it is an Aprilia, you have a whole suite of electronic aids. You get ride-by-wire, which means you have 3 riding modes. You have traction control, which is adjustable. You have, of course, dual-channel ABS. You have this beautiful TFT dash, which I absolutely love. And on the braking front, you have a 320mm disc. You have a 4-pot caliper from Biber. You have steel braided lines. You also have sticky rubber from TVS Euro Grip, which is a radial tire, W rated, so should be more than up for the task. On the suspension front, you have 41mm upside down forks, which are adjustable for preload, which I love. Same as the shock, which is also adjustable for preload. And in terms of accessibility, this is still very accessible because you have a 800mm seat height. And also in terms of the riding ergonomics, as you can see, they have tried to hit that sweet spot between sporty and comfortable, because the riding stance is not overly committed. The foot pegs are a little bit further forward and the cant to the clip-ons is not too extreme. So that's the motorcycle for you. I think it will sell in big number just for the way it looks, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed to see if it also has the performance and the handling, especially as an Aprilia, and it goes as well as it looks. It's always a pleasure to ride a motorcycle in anger at a racetrack, and that was so much special here at a Kari Motor Speedway because I've not ridden here in forever. It's a complete new layout, and what a way to get introduced to it than on this beautiful machine. The standout feature is hands down the new paddle twin mill, because you have so much torque on tap. I mean, you could literally ride the bike everywhere on the track in the 3rd gear. That's the amount of torque you have lower down. That's how wide the torque band is, and I love how it continues to stay strong all the way through its rev ceiling. And what makes the experience even more engaging is, of course, the 270-degree crank, the firing order. It's really intoxicating, the exhaust note, the way the engine feels. Man, this is as close to a race bike as you can get in this category. The engine is a peach. Even the 6-speed transmission is buttery smooth. I know it doesn't get a quick shifter as standard, but you do get it as an accessory, and I cannot wait to try that because already the transmission is really, really smooth. The next thing which really stood out is not surprising at all. It's the handling. I mean, it's an Aprilia, for God's sakes. That is the one thing that they're really renowned for. And again, it really shone through here because the bike has a really, really tight wheelbase, which makes it insanely agile. Initially, I was a little bit worried looking at the stance of the motorcycle, that it's going to be a little too upright. It's not going to be that much fun in corners. That was not really the case. It's really quick on its feet, so on the really tight chicanes, this was a breeze. Normally, Aprilias are notorious for being really small. Yeah, I find it very difficult to fit on them. This one was surprisingly spacious. There was enough room for me to move around. But this tight geometry also means that you're already at the fag end of your stability. So the tight corners, the bike was phenomenal, but in the really long corners, that's where I felt the front and the rear start moving around, especially when you're carrying a lot of lean and dialing in the gas. I feel even though the tires did pretty well, but I think for a racetrack kind of environment, you're already at the very edge of their performance, even though we were not really pushing that much, because I already had a couple of moments where the front first stuck in the long right hand corner, and on the next lap it was the rear which started to come around. Luckily you have traction control, which saved my ass. So if you're considering this motorcycle for the racetrack, I would definitely go for stickier tires, and the next change which I would do is definitely swap the organic pads with sintered pads, because after for some 6 or 7 hot laps, I could already feel the brake lever come all the way in. So there was a lot of brake fade. The fact that you cannot switch off the front ABS. So direct lines would turn this into a proper track tool. The good thing though is that you can switch off the rear ABS. When you really start pushing, you at least have that support. And there is a lot of scope for further improving your lap time, because again, we did not even touch the preload. It's in the stock setting for the front as well as the back. And to be honest, this already has the makings of like the perfect track tool. All you need are a few changes, as I mentioned: straight lines, sintered brake pads, stickier tires, rear set pegs, the quick shifter, and I think you have one of the best track tools on offer in India today. And the fact that a lot of these components are already in the works is what Aprilia tells us they would be offered as accessories. That makes the RS 457 even more tempting a proposition. I can't really talk much about how it would fare on the road. The ergonomics, the engine shows that it has the promise to be a really good roadster as well, because the ergonomics are not really committed. Also, the engine is very tractable. You could ride in the 3rd and 4th gear at as low as 25 kilometers an hour and it would pull cleanly. Also, from a road perspective, the engine is also really smooth, really refined. Yes, there are vibrations, especially because the foot peg is mounted straight onto the engine. The engine is the stress member, but you only feel them in the higher revs. Lower down, especially considering the fact that you could ride in a gear or two higher, I don't think you're going to have any problem in terms of refinement with this machine. It's only when you push it in a racetrack environment, that's when it does get a little bit vibier at the top end. But I would reserve my opinion on that until I ride it on the road. But until then, let me know if you have any further questions and yeah, what you think of this beautiful machine.